and Disruptor, but you're so right that it's China favored. But recently, it has done kind of a trickle down into other regions.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, we've been seeing it grow in popularity. GG themselves have played it a lot. A lot of other teams are experimenting with it. It's just the value that this hero brings you in terms of how early it can take the mid tower is something worth first phasing.
Conventional wisdom always told me that Enchantress was a Beastmaster counter, though. You steal his boar and suddenly his laning phase is not that relevant, but is it just because Axe build is so popular on Beastmaster these days that GG feels confident picking it into the Enchantress?
That's definitely a good point that you make. I think that Beastmaster itself is just such a solid hero right now. Even if your lane goes poorly, if you have a support like Mirana who can just stack the triangle for you, over and over, it's very easy for her to do it, right? She can make it in time with her leaps if she's late. She has good attack speed, so she can stack both with no issues, come back to the lane, maybe roam to the rune. Like, she's one of the better heroes at stacking triangle, so you can always secure that even if your Beastmaster loses in lane, there's gonna be a way back in with the Axe build that you talked about.
And it's just a really popular hero right now. I mean, if you're looking at stats for all the most of the teams, that's like their #1 pick offlane hero right now. It's just really good and consistent, especially because of that lack of summon issue. It's just, you know, it's going to be fine in the lane. There's been times where Beastmasters get double kills and stuff like that with Axe trading and playing in trees and stuff like that, so it kind of just does everything you want.
What's up with this Jakiro ban? I know I haven't seen that many Aster games, but...
Oh, they have been playing Jakiro, so...
And they give it to Bobica?
I think that's actually been their 5 hero, but...
Oh, and then they just keep Bobica at the end, yeah, okay, makes sense.
It's been, this is the hero that's brought them success. So like the shift that they had within their draft yesterday that made a significant impact was actually just going for this Jakiro. And I think they played it 3 out of 4 games and had massive success with it. So Gladiators have of course studied that, identified it, and probably placed a lot of respect for it. I actually think Jakiro has been a little bit of like a sleeper secret weapon for a lot of these teams because it has come up every here and there and it has a pretty high win rate.
I saw it get some wins this morning when other teams were picking it, and I mean it was a nice buff on the ice path as well. It's just more annoying to play against. It takes up more space in the engagement.
And if you miss the ice path, there's a much better chance that it eventually lands.
That's right.
Yeah.
But it's just like a strong amount of magical damage, really good in lane. You have less Rubiks in a patch, which make it so that Ice Path becomes a better spell just by nature. You have to consider the kind of heroes you're playing against. And Macro Fires is just a very good tool in defending high ground, defending buildings. Zoo strats have been very popular, and Jakiro has always excelled in defense against Zoo strats, right? It's just that he's had kind of issues where he's a little bit clunky, but it seems like that's not the case anymore.
I think he feels like not fun to move. Like playing Jakiro just feels a little miserable sometimes. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it does.
It's like driving a bus.
I think one other tiny thing that might also help Jakiro is that Mango's less good at spamming, and that was a hero that actually wasn't a very good Mango spammer, it felt like to me, because his HP was already really high. Dual Breath's like 140 mana, which is kind of a lot for a Mango to funnel into, so maybe he just feels a little bit better when Mango spam becomes worse also.
But so far, I do think that Aster, with the first 2 picks that they have, definitely have an advantage over Gaimin's offlane. We just saw in the last game that we watched how good of a laner Morphling is versus Beastmaster. And Enchantress, yeah, she does suffer a little bit versus Mirana, but me and Jenkins were talking about this, and we really think this matchup goes both ways. You're like, yeah, and she can arrow your creep, and I mean, Mirana can arrow your creep and she can trade with you, but you can also trade back with Emphasis and you can slow her, and you're a strong hero. You just need to buy some extra regen and you can bully her out too, right? So I do think that this GG offlane is going to be dependent on stacks to come back into the game.
Oh, and there's that Rubik ban into the instant CM. So again, double counter into the Ench. One thing that's nice too, it's not just about the creep, because like Ench likes to just like run up hills, see what's going on in your jungle, especially if you have some Beastmaster stacks. And so with all these Disruptor bans, I feel like that hero's been one of the best ones at actually punishing Enches that try and do that. So Crystal Maiden, nice long route, you can max that out. You can try and punish the Ench if he tries to get in there.
Yeah, and I think Crystal Maiden's a lot more dependable, right, at killing the Ench creep than Mirana is, because you can just move the creep around. Like, we talk about arrowing the creep, but it's not that easy, honestly. But also, this indicates that this Beastmaster, like Tsunami mentioned, is actually probably going to do this Axe build, because once you pick the CM, it's when you're basically wanting to supply that mana for some more mana-dependent cores. And Beastmaster is one of those, and it's most likely going to be something like a Storm or a Spirit-type hero for GG coming out, I believe, with this Crystal Maiden.
Even if you do go the Axe build, do you still get Dominator into Overlord on Beastmaster? Because that Dominator period, Enchantress still gets to steal that also.
I think if you don't go that on Beastmaster, It gets really weird
Oh,
because you
yes.
pick this hero for map control, right? You pick it for vision. You pick it for that creep pushing out lanes. You just always want to make sure that you have that. We've seen some beasts go for things like Boots of Bearing and Drums of Flom,
Yeah.
but I think that I really think that this is the best build for Beast overall.
I think if you go like an SF strat, like it can kind of work with the auras. If you really don't want to get the helm, if you're gonna try and get these other auras, and you have this like, oh, I'm like working my attack speed aura, like let's get some other big heroes. We're gonna like 5-hero group up. It can be good, but it really feels bad because, like you're saying, I mean, the hero, his whole identity with the abilities of the overwhelm, it's just like way too good.
There was a thread on how Overlord should get the Necrobook treatment because literally only Lycan and Beastmaster are the only people building it. And then
That's
there's like
because
a
we're just not
huge
creative enough.
drop-off.
Okay, come on, guys.
And maybe it's because their natural abilities buff up the creep
Right.
in a huge way, and it just.
You guys you need to get out there.
Oh, look, you
everybody.
need to get
All
out
right.
there and
Trent,
buy Helm of the Overlord.
Who's your hot
Yeah.
Any
Overlord
other
take
hero.
builder? Give me a
Marcy.
Marcy Overlord. You can
Yeah,
rebound off your own
exactly.
creep.
Boom.
Okay, I'm into
All right,
it.
that's a good one. That's a really good one.
Nailed it.
But why would you buy a Helm of the Overlord when you could just buy a Meteor Hammer on like any of these heroes you're talking about?
Oh, like Beastmaster? Like he could just roar into Meteor Hammer, guys. I mean, look, why isn't that your build?
Before 6.
Okay. Yeah, it just hasn't been explored enough. Clearly, that's what we need.
Gaimin get their carry-to-carry matchup. They're sending Terrorblade to take the front lines against this Morphling.
Ooh, that's kind of spooky, isn't it? Morphling's kind of a fan of this.
I mean, you're going to have to play the Ags game for sure. That doesn't sound very fun, but they're going to have damage issues now on the rest of the Aster heroes. Like, Primal has a limited amount of damage. Clockwork's not that big of a threat, Enchantress too. So I kind of feel like TB can play against everybody else, even if the Morphling matchup isn't the best.
I think Zeus probably makes the most sense for Aster here right now. It will correct their damage issues. It's a way to deal with the Terrorblade, who's very susceptible to magic damage. And also, because you have these two frontliners in your Primal Beast and your Clock, and you're going to have the vision provided by the Rocket Flare, the Ench Creep, and the Zeus ulti, you should have means of defending yourself from a potential Beastmaster initiation.
And Moonlight.
Right?
Kinda cool.
Yeah, the issue with the Zeus coming out now is that GG are just probably going to pick some like Storm or Ember to get on top of it, but this banning phase is where they can cover those nasty Zeus counters if that's what they're thinking about. But this is the hero that I like most. I know the Storm ban is telling me that they're looking at the Zeus, but still, they could potentially go for any other like ranged nuke type of hero. It could even be a Snapfire mid. Who knows?
It definitely feels like I feel like they probably won't get the Zeus, as you're saying, right? Because, you know, it's the TB counter. But they're also recognizing that, hey, you know, maybe someone else has that mid lane. They really don't want to see that Darkseer versus the TB matchup that all of those TB players complain about.
Yeah, there's the potential of the mid Primal Beast also, right? So they can cover their bases here for sure. Depends on just what they're more afraid of.
A Darkseer ban. Any potential for this Primal Beast to be going mid for Aster?
That's right. That's what we're getting to.
Oh, I was too busy staring at the camera.
I know, he was lost in his own reflection there.
Neil's like, is that
trying
man
to-
playing a
Give it to me
monster?
again.
I can't blame him. He did look really good. Like like he was kind of just like.
Whoa, guys, did you see Terrorblade got picked?
Cover your bases for sure here.
Neil, did you see that
So,
they
you talking about
responded
Terrorblade?
Beastmaster?
Yeah.
See, I don't really like the Terrorblade. I think
Okay.
Enchantress is gonna steal all your illusions.
Leave Mr. Hurricane alone. All right.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Here I am.
Da-da, da-da.
Not listening to my analysts.
They're taking a lot of time to think about this last fan, which means that they really are trying to consider all bases here. Is it going to be the mid primal? Is it going to be a Zeus that we have to think about or cover for? It could even be a Snap, like I mentioned before. That hero does fit a similar archetype, but I just don't think it fits it as nicely as Zeus does here.
They just, damage is one way, or they need more disable, or both. Damage and damage disable.
Could also be an Ember Spirit that Aster could look forward to. That's also a hero that GG could be looking at. Lots could happen here. They're
feel like
taking way too long with this
There's so much
ban.
stuff they're missing like, when I look at their lineup. Whereas Gladiators, like getting kills just looks a lot more straightforward to me. It's like nukes, stuns, got two ways to set up arrows. They do ban the Zeus.
Okay, yeah. So it had to be the Zeus that they got. They took some time thinking about it, I think, for a good reason. But
Give me
you
your
said,
out there pick.
potentially Snap,
Lena mid.
potentially an Ember.
That's out there right now. That's pretty
Spellcasting.
out there.
naked
Spellcasting.
Leshrac.
Okay, no
Yeah.
Reckley. Leshrac? It's okay. I mean, I feel like people pick TB against Lesh. Yeah, it kills the illusions, but like once they get Scotty, they're like, okay, no more healing for you.
Yeah.
You know, and you're pretty far away.
It would be
usually.
nice to get a little bit of tower pressure, but it's not really necessary. I mean, they have the edge
Morphling will be
already, so
fine.
you don't need to like double down on it.
Pugna.
Pugna, that's your out there
That's my
pick.
out there pick.
It's not
Plus,
bad.
they're all
It's
going to
alright
buy.
out there.
It
So
was
it's the
Ember.
Ember.
Yeah.
So the reason I preferred, like, the Ember was the obvious option for XWY. Now that Zeus is out, it's probably his best hero, and it's a hero that can just jump the backline in Crystal Maiden in Mirana. It also can build the Maelstrom and take advantage of the TV, kick it out of the jungle early. The issue with it is just it can kind of get punished by the Primal Beast. I mean, not the Primal Beast, the Beastmaster, if it gets caught off guard. And of course, like the Quinn last pick Husker that was coming out.
Okay.
But honestly, I think the Ember versus Husker matchup is not that bad for Ember. It's not as bad as people make it out to be. Like, it's definitely playable, and the best Ember players in the world know how to deal with it, but still looking like a mighty scary Husker pick, Purge.
Yeah, they don't have that many disables, so I just feel like if Quinn gets ahead, he's going to be a freaking monster, and he's just going to go like push towers with his squad. He's going to be backed up by CM, Mirana, Beastmaster, while Duracio's off split pushing and farming, and they're just going to wreck towers. If he gets behind, yeah, sure, it might be a problem, but it looks like a really good Huskar pick to me.
I only saw one Huskar here, and it was Mikey, and he got kind of obliterated in that game.
Yeah,
But this is like a Quinn cheese special, I feel like.
it is. But personally, I do believe in Aster's draft more, just because I feel like they have so many tools to kill the supports on the side of GG, and they have so many tools to punish the Terrorblade early on. The way that I see GG winning is just if Quinn completely stomps the mid lane. Like, it has to be a complete shutdown of the Ember for GG to have my favor in this game.
That sounds reasonable to me, yeah. I agree with that.
You looked troubled.
I mean, the CM, they haven't picked CM at this tournament. They're pulling it out here, maybe just because of the pick position that they were like, oh, we don't want to show too much. But yeah, it is a lot on how Quinn does. That's going to be really important here. So is he going to get smashed? Probably not. But will the rotations be too much for him to handle? Like, Clock is a vulnerability against him for a while. Like, getting roamed on by Primal's kind of spooky too. So they could put pressure into Quinn and really give him a hard time.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about that, like, end rotation mid, you know? Maybe the hook shot comes out a little bit early, or, like, right at the 10 with the tome. Maybe they grab that kill, he TV's back, dies again. Maybe they can get that pressure, but I'm definitely on Squad Huskar, gotta say.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's done this a few times, kind of knows what he's doing. But that's the game plan. It's like Effie said, right?
I don't know. I'm just gonna have to say Aster here and go against the grain.
I think it's more like the Aster
Justification
one.
for that is you don't trust the Huskar?
I kind of gave the justification a little bit earlier, but like I mentioned, I think that the rest of Gladiators' draft is easily punished by Aster's draft. The only issue lies within the Husker. But it would have to be like a flawless game for Quinn, but I think I have so much faith in the Primal, the Clock, and the Morphling to just, by nature of their picks, kind of stomp Gaimin Gladiators.
All right.
It might go well for them, you know?
I can't wait to see it. Aster looking forward to representing China as the only team from their region here and doing them proud. They got to do it in game number 1 against Gaimin Gladiators with Cap and SVG.
That's right, we are getting down to the wire here in who's going to be in the top 4 and who is going to be eliminated out of the Dreamleague groups, man. It is tough out there. And Aster are currently in a dicey scenario where they're pretty much going even. And Gaimin Gladiators, Avery, well, they're looking pretty hot. In fact, if they win this series outright, they would have, I think, a solid 8 wins. That's getting real close to being guaranteed.
That's too many.
That's too many.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's too many. You know, you got to.
Whoa, too many for Gaimin Gladiators or too many in general?
It's just too many, man. You don't want to win. You don't want to win that much. You're just gonna get cocky. You're gonna get complacent. You got to sprinkle a little more loss in there. You want to be right on that 7-7 mark. Play a tiebreaker. Get some momentum off that thing. Oh yeah, now we're.
So you're saying Gaimin Gladiators screwed up by winning Lima Major?
It was Quinn's biggest mistake. He should have kept playing with me and losing every tournament.
Yeah, well, I feel like with you, he had enough loss for a lifetime.
It was the hyperbolic time. The hyperbolic training chamber. But, you know, if I learned anything from Lima, it's that I talk about Quinn too much, so I'm not going to mention him in all this game. Instead, we're going to talk about the other big factors.
He who shall not be named.
Exactly. Even though a lot of this game is kind of dependent on that mid lane. I kind of want to see what Baboka does with Enchanters. I think Baboka, I've talked about before, he's a huge pivotal point for this Aster lineup, especially when he's on some of these weirder heroes that you don't consider 4s. that he's supposed to be playing.
Yeah, they've been doing some weird stuff lately.
Yeah, so I'm looking at him secure Monet's early game on this Morphling, maybe screw with Ace's game in terms of this Enchantress Beast interaction, and if he can ever go mid and skew this matchup, that's pretty damn nice, because this is a 100-0 matchup. Quinn looks like he's already suppressing a giggle here.
100-0.
Yeah, there's no way to counterplay this. You just get speared, and that's it. You got to take the spears and hope you make it up elsewhere. Somewhere out in the world, this is bringing me back to those Optic gaming days. I think PPD has shed a single tear. My boy has grown up.
Maybe he'll win a TI just like his papa someday.
Who, Quinn?
Yeah.
I don't know about that one.
Effie said that she doesn't think that this matchup is as bad as it seems, and that the best Embers in the world do find a way out of it. I took that as her saying that if XWY loses this lane really badly, it means he's trash. So, some bold words, but I think there's something about Ember Spirit and that he just always kind of seemed to do okay when it comes to getting out of lanes.
I think there are two matchups where if I sent Ember mid, actually there's a couple, but the two that come to mind where if I sent Ember mid and my expectations would be, bro, if you're level 3 at 10 minutes, I'll consider it success. That's Lone Druid and Huskar. Obviously, I'm a bit exaggerating there, but I think Lone Druid, Huskar, there's a Necro in there somewhere. These matchups, there is no counterplay. You are just going to get owned. It's a question of how owned do you get, you know? Are you 5 Cinder Blocks chained to your team? Are you 4 Cinder Blocks? You want to be in the somewhere in like the 1 to 2 Cinder Block area, and then I think you have some playability. That's my rating from 0 to 5 stars.
How far up does the Cinder Block rating go?
10 blocks.
10 blocks? Okay. That's kind of what I figured.
I think that was
the high ground miss. That feels bad. First blood is still out on the table, so that would have been an excellent pickup. Stellary still tries for it, but a little bit out of range there.
Stellary might pay the price. There's a charge.
Yeah, has to use the Frostbite to stop XXS from running him over.
Waveform bottom, Monet looking to get some damage in. Tofu's got to be careful. You go for these double nuke builds on Mirana. Don't have that leap. Oh, I would have tanked that arrow. Send a message, you know.
Not taking my range creep.
That said, Ace got the helm, and he's pretty much free farming down here. I say pretty much, he is free farming.
Oh, he went for it! Monet gets the first blood.
Damn. And this is what you want to see out of this Enchantress lane. You want this lane to be winning to make up for what's going to happen mid, and also just shutting down this Beastmaster, really valuable.
God. Well, I mean, he's doing better than you suggested. He's already level 3, and it's only minute 4.
It's like 4 out of 10 Cinder Blocks.
Yeah.
By the way, for reference, you know, the full 10, I feel like that was the Huskar game we saw yesterday for Mikey. That was a rough performance. Yeah. But this is not going to be that Huskar game because you're guaranteed a super free laning phase.
Yeah. Whereas that one, what was the laning phase matchup? I don't remember.
Invoker.
Yeah,
he got dunked on. That's a much harder matchup. Which is another reason why I feel like Baboka Enchantress's game, as well as perhaps XSS Primal, have to set the early tempo in racking up the side lane pressure so that their cores come online between the Primal and the Morphling, and it can combat this Huskar in the mid game. Because this Huskar is going to be big, but Huskar is not just some auto-win hero, right?
Yeah.
We've seen plenty of people lose with this hero, and the reason you can lose is if that early Roshan gets delayed, or the cores can just man-fight you during your BKB timings. This hero can fall off.
Before he who shall not be named builds up too much power.
Exactly.
Yeah. I recognize that story. Just got to find his Horcrux.
You're a Huskar, Harry. That's the one impression I'll do for the entire day. The rest are on you.
Okay, thank you.
I've learned nobody likes them, so I'm done.
I liked it, and that's all that matters.
And you like anything. Easy audience.
Rude.
Still, Monet is liking this laning phase. As he finishes up Tread, still has some region left. Top of the net worth chart here. Despite the CS differential, just that first blood doing wonders. If Morphling gets fat, I feel like I do favor him this game. I think it's a pretty damn good Morphling game. I don't think there's much that actually stops him outside of the gaming cores just being so strong that he can't really 1v3. Primal and Ember damage is nice, but it's not doing a lot through Terrorblade BKB or the Primal Roar hitting the Morph. But if he gets like a good Scotty timing, he's just going to wait for him in and destroy this Huskar, and there's no real save.
What about the Terrorblade, though? How's that matchup go?
He's
exactly? There. Yeah? Oh, okay. He is like the hard carry of Gaimin Gladiators, so...
Terrorblade is definitely better versus Morph nowadays than he used to be in the shotgun era.
Yes, yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
This matchup's not that bad anymore. But I still don't think Terrorblade prevents Morphling going in and dealing with the Huskar if the game gets to that point in a Roshan clash. That's what I'm kind of looking at. And I don't think the Terrorblade is as terrifying for Ember Primal as this Morphling is for the other gaming cores. That's how I look at it too. Like, Ember Primal don't really care about Terrorblade. If anything, they're pretty good answers to it. You can get to the items. The downside is your Ember is not going to exist for a while because of mid.
Sure.
So you do lose that element. And Dyrachyo has also had a pretty damn good laning phase up here, pressuring the tower, taking it to Pichu. He is evaporated. He is at a very good laning phase. This Catapult's just doing work up here, man. Half a tier 1 gone for this Primal. Oh, he's trying to get the kill. Turnaround.
Oh, XXS. Very bold move by him. 1v2 trying to get a kill on Dyrachyo. Doesn't end up getting it, though.
Man, these are some rough lanes for Aster outside of that Morphling.
Hit him with the slam.
Good luck.
Why did he pick up the Bruiser? Out of all the neutrals in the jungle. Why that one?
Could have been the only one left on a camp.
Maybe.
Maybe some arrows came through. Probably killed the Frost Armor.
Oh, here comes. Nice.
Man, you're really into these random small things that nobody else cares about. It's
Yeah, well,
impressive.
I'm pretty sure that might be the first time in professional Dota anybody has used the Ogre Bruiser
No,
to any
there's been a
effect.
couple.
Dyrachyo's dead. Put him in the cage with the animal. That's a nice combo.
That's true. Cage match with the Beast himself. Not winning that one. And that's going to make up for what was happening on that lane, because that lane was not going that well. Now you're getting some momentum back on your Primal, who I think has to have a decent amount of momentum here to make sure you can enter these mid-game fights in good position. Quinn does have his Armlet online, looking to contest 8-minute rune, but Celery will take it. Says, ha, finally a game I can take the rune away from you. How does it feel?
Tofu hops away. See, I want to see how much longer the Terrorblade exists in this top lane. Because I think getting a kill pre-level 6 on Primal Beast feels so good because it puts you up to get that level 6 a little bit faster. I think the early levels are so important on this hero to just kind of like keep the snowball rolling. I think that's a large part of where like Thompson's success with that hero playing at mid works, right? He gets the soul levels and he just snowballs off of it because if you can max out and get that 4-4-0 build,
It is very strong.
it's so much damage.
Only one leap for Tofu. He's probably gone.
Yeah,
He won't even use it.
He's goner.
So Monet continuing to push ahead of that Terrorblade, who does have to stay up here, I think, just because he doesn't want to go jungle too early. Quinn has been taking a lot of those camps around that upper dire jungle, which means if you leave lane as Terrorblade, you're just clumping the cores, giving the free solo XP to Primal, and you just don't have an anchor point up there to go back to. Whereas Ace has also been farming their triangle. They're trying to get stacks up for the Beast. Kind of classic Beast Arcane Boots gameplay.
Bobica does his best to try and disrupt it, but it's met by 3 heroes. So he only steals a small part of that. Man, Quinn is just greedy. He has the freest lane. He could keep playing in that lane, but instead he opts to take both the Terrorblade and Beastmaster's farm.
A greedy man. And Dyrachyo gets a freebie. Pichu
A lot of freebies.
said hello, and Dyrachyo said goodbye. Collects another creep in the form of the Goblin. I will say XWY did a decent job of playing this matchup. He never died. He gets an Arcane Rune at min to 10. He's level 7.5. He jungled pretty efficiently here on this Ember. He's only 1,000 behind.
Oh, it snagged him. And he didn't get off the Strength Morph. There's a possibility of a kill here with a Frostbite and Quinn's extra damage. Waveforms away to the side, and yeah, he's far enough away. He's good. Maybe if Ace could have gotten there in time, but Quinn using all of that farm to now put some pressure on the map. Looks like they're going to try and take that off-lane tower.
Decent amount of space for this Ember to try and make something happen, or at least get a bunch of farm while he doesn't have to interact. You're just going to trade towers here. I feel like Aster are pretty happy if they can never trade towers in this game, because the Beast, I think, is kind of inevitable in terms of the tower taking. I see that in, they're actually just not pushing bottom with this catapult.
Yeah, everybody left.
Ace just went to jungle.
There were
in the jungle.
4 heroes down there, and all of a sudden there's none.
And in fact, XWY is just going to TP down here. Says, if you don't want to push it, I'll come collect the catapult and some extra creeps.
Surely that has to be an error.
I felt like Ace should have just taken it. You can send boars and stack triangle too. It's not like you're necessarily going to even miss the farm. I think this tower should be dead right now because I think Ember's very happy with how much space he's getting down here.
Yeah, and I think the Primal Beast could probably at some point in time go down there and fight if they think it's a good idea.
It's a decent fight point if you want to commit the cores. It's just a big question of where you want to commit your manpower because Quinn is invading your jungle. As we saw, he's going to take Baboka for free. You want to be finding trades right now with the Ember and the Primal. This is when they're pretty strong. Especially if you can force the interaction into the Terrorblade. That's a pretty big pressure point for gaming. It's just so much overwhelming spell damage. It kind of forces a response. Again, Dyrachyo doesn't necessarily have the most space to go to on the map with how greedy his other 2 cores are playing it. You can leave the Morphling alone, create some pressure. Gaming have to react. That said, they're probably happy to take these reactionary fights. It's kind of the nature of a Huskar lineup. Like, you can always force the enemy to deal with you because in general, Huskar is going to outfarm almost any other mid.
Oh, an opportunity here. Armlet toggle, and I forgot about that interaction. I've seen this one a few times. Huskar versus Primal Beast mid. And you just use the inner fire to keep him off of you all the time.
This tower's still up. Not denying it for XWY. But that might have
Point blank
lingered too
frostbite,
long.
freezing fields, and that is enough. Really well executed by Gaimin Gladiators, sneaking up on him with the Moonlight Shadow.
See, that's why you leave that tower up. Because then they get baited back in the bottom and you get more juice out of that orange. Squeeze it for everything it's worth.
Getting a lot of pulp.
There is actually some truth in that. That some games you don't want to kill this tower because you want them to keep going bottom so you can get a kill point. There are some lineups that benefit a lot from having that happen.
That makes sense to me. But at the same time, I feel like...
I don't think this is one of those lineups. I'm just speaking.
Oh, okay. It is possible. It doesn't apply to this game, but it does. It is possible.
There's certain offlaners that prefer having that lane with a single hero in it, where they can keep playing the lane straight up and taking advantage of it and getting a kill, and leaving that tower up enables that because they can't necessarily use the super deep jungle from that tower going down. In this game, Beastmaster is a hero that generally can use that jungle very well.
Would you say Primal Beast on the other side is an example of that? Well, like, give me an example of a hero that would utilize that sort of trap.
I'll have to get back to you on that.
It has to be a hero that doesn't jungle super efficiently, which is, I guess, the problem with Primal Beast.
I think Primal could be an example of that. To me, I don't know if it's maybe about the hero.
Arrow coming in. Ooh, the hook shot. He actually tanks the arrow. XXS is going to go back into it. He really wants this kill, but the inner fire keeps him off once again. Bobica is going to try and cover XXS's exit here. And Gaimin Gladiators won't be able to get more. Unfortunately, this Primal Beast has all this strength, but is unable to use it.
All right, you know what hero came to my mind? Going back to that discussion, because I do think it's an interesting discussion. Viper. I feel like a lot of those Viper dual lanes, some of those lanes, they took the tower super early, and then Viper can't really go enemy jungle. It's very awkward for him to rotate mid, and then this guy's just farming really deep in the lane. You kind of lose your kill threat with the dual lane.
Yeah, when he's that deep, it's really easy to, like, you know, bring 3 heroes and kill him.
Like with the Viper Tusk lane, the Viper Clock lanes, when those are popular, you kind of want that tower to be there and the guy to feel like he has to keep going back because then you just keep killing him.
Right, yeah.
It's the ultimate honeypot. You just...
Once again, the Frostbite into arrow combination. Did the arrow not land? He's going to burn. He's going to jump through his remnant. Remnant dodge. There's too much. It is too much.
I respect the attempt, but now he's out of remnant, so that might have not been worth it.
That arrow had to have snagged a creep.
Well, it was close. Ultimately, it doesn't end up mattering, though. This high-level Frostbite is proving very problematic for these cores.
Yeah, what I like about this game, the Gladiators have such a clear game plan, right? This kill combo of their heroes are just running around.
That creep was a hero.
Yeah.
Got aggroed into it. You got to aggro it the other way. That's the 1,000 IQ play. But yeah, this kill squad's nice. And the thing is, they don't have to make too many moves because they're just kind of farming for their Helm of the Overlord timing. for this Terrorblade to get to the Scotty, Huskar to get to his BKB. And then they're just going to be happy forcing the Roshan here with Hawk Vision. And what is the contest from Aster? They just have to run the Primal in? That's a tough contest. I guess you have Clock. You can get some Rocket Flare Vision. There's some options here, but this Roshan is approaching very fast. Very, very fast.
I don't want to be too dramatic here, but I kind of feel like if Gaimin Gladiators get this Roshan, the game might be too hard for Aster to win. So they're going to get another pick off here. That hookshot actually really good, and the waveform finishes off Quinn. Sure, Pichu loses his life for it. The stolen arrow goes out, but both Celery and Tofu managed to sidestep it. But with Quinn dead, I mean, this guy was the biggest problem on the map right now. They couldn't really fight into him.
Absolutely game-changing kill. It's so good for Monet to get this extra XP. I mean, they missed the tower hit, but they get the tower, and you're delaying that Roshan because that was Huskar BKB coming out. And another just chunking him.
Monet, he's got the killer instinct right now, man.
Like, this Morphling is strong. Like, this Lincoln's build in this game, they do not have control for him. This is why I feel like it's a very good Morphling game. And I think he has to continue being active here. The more Monet can get involved and shut down some of these gaming cores, it just buys so much space for December to catch up. And he has to keep catching up because he is half the net worth of his compadres here. And that is a rough place to be with a hero that is mostly designed around the snowball and the pressure that creates.
Yeah. Nova. Quinn not as eager to take the fights as he was before.
Flashback.
He does have BKB, though.
He does have it. This is generally where you want to force the issue. Helm of the Overlord up in 100 gold for Ace. That will probably be the signal to make the move. It's a question is Monet strong enough to combat that move?
Pichu's walked up that high ground a couple of times, and he's going to be caught once again. Hook shots over to the Morphling. Will be able to survive because of it.
And you got a beta out of that.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Again, you're just looking to delay this game, and another decent find on the map. Tofu. Utility Mirana just gets caught out by XXS. And some extra XP for XWY at the same time. Aster finding these little things that's tripping up the game flow for gaming. Remember, this used to be a 4 or 5K gold lead. We cut it down to 2, and that's not off any big team fighter objective. That's just Aster playing the map better right now, and gaming not getting to play their 5-man clump for that Roshan. Helm of the Overlord is up. That dragon will tell Quinn, I got your back, bro. Go hit that Roshan.
Okay, this is the true test for Aster. I think these small kills and stuff are great, but it only pulled the win percentage, for example, was over 80-20. But now they pulled it back down bit by bit. But this Roshan,
it's gonna have to
how
be a
they
steal
contest.
if you want to contest it. You don't have Primal BKB, so either XXS is going in, Pichu's going in, or maybe Monet if he's bold enough. But it is dying fast, and the creeps are blocking a lot of the hook shots.
Yeah, they got a lot of ways to get into the pit. They're going to go for it. Hook shot was almost perfectly timed. Unfortunately, Quinn was able to get the Aegis just before that. Looks like Bobica's going to die. They trade out support for that one, though. Aster, okay. They weren't able to stop the Roshan being done, but they do.
They'll take the fight.
Yeah, they get this Beastmaster kill. That's pretty nice. On their high ground, the arrow nabs them, but Gaimin Gladiators can't fight up in that choke point. That would be crazy.
Again, Aster finding some little things off the back of what gaming want this game to look like. It's another big kill to take this beast off the map. They get the maiden trade. Man, that hook shot was so good. It was like in half a second difference, you maybe get that Aegis steal. The readying the needle on all these creeps as well. Not an easy hook shot at all. You even get the D-ward.
Almost has a Force Staff, which Force Staffs and Lincolns are going to be super important in this game. Man, look at those wards destroyed.
I mean, now this game is just about stalling. For gaming, it's about forcing the issue with this Aegis, getting to your next Huskar item, which is going to be the Halberd, trying to find some pickoffs with him if you can with the extra Beast Vision. Pichu staying alive. But ultimately, you do want to get this tier 1 mid if you're gaming. You want to get it soon and maybe even some tier 2 pressure with this Aegis. Which means for Aster, shove the lanes as far and as deep as you can. And don't respond unless you have to or you're very confident to take that fight. Scotty will be finished up for Duraccio. So another big timing to be hit here for Gaimin as he metas to try and chase XXS out of here.
Yeah, XXS is just going to be able to TP out successfully, so he killed his creep wave, so there goes that push. The push on mid is still successful, though, for Gaimin Gladiators to get the tier 1. Where does Aster draw the line? How far is too far for Gaimin Gladiators to go? Like, should they be trying to hold a tier 2 to keep their outpost up, or is that impossible?
It's tough. I don't really feel like you want to just fight the tier 2s. I think it's high ground.
Okay.
You do have this double damage on XWI. That's kind of tempting to fight around this mid tier 2. Radiant mid tier 2 is a decent fight place. The bottom Radiant tier 2 is garbage. But the mid one is
a death trap.
Is okay. Monet's gonna force them TPs back here.
Yeah, he's gonna waveform, has Manta too.
So this is nice play. As much as you can delay this, you're gonna be happy about it. Gaimin are done messing around. They just want the fight. They are smoking up here right now.
Oh, XXS actually wants to go for this fight. Duraccio, if they could keep some sort of chainstone, it'd be nice, but where's the rest of the damage? Oh, the hookshot goes down. They finish him off just in time. That Sunder was so close to going off. A Manta dodge on Quinn as he tries to jump in. Stuck inside the freezing field, but he was already morphed to shrink quite heavily, but they're going to be able to hit him with the roar, and that's good enough. XXS is going to be chased down. Honestly, they don't need the Terrorblade. They've got 2 different carries on the side of Gaimin Gladiators. One falls, but the other stays alive and kills most of Aster.
Just nice stun chain for Gaimin off the back to finish that Morphling. He has waveforming too. If that arrow doesn't land, he gets out of there, and that fight's an absolute disaster. So a good smoke read to this Terrorblade. Barely not getting that Thunder off. It's still gonna cost you.
Little friend!
Oh,
Get
not
him!
so little.
Those are some big boys.
Woo. The Beastmaster, not the master of his own beast. And yeah, that shard pickup, it's gonna do some serious damage. You get caught off with it. Bots pickup for Quinn. Probably trying to deal with some of the split push that Aster have been proposing. I kind of like it. Still has Aegis for a minute here. The group up did get them a tier 2, got them a tier 1 top. Not the worst first Aegis I've seen.
I was going to say Huskar's decent catch, too, if you get the Aghanims build, but then I remember we have Lincolns on Monet, and XWY is going to get a Lincolns eventually, too, so maybe not. Well, then again, he has Heaven's Halberds. Could maybe Moonlight Shadow, break the Lincolns, and then dunk on him.
You have to remember, you still have this Beast Aura, you have Helm of the Overlord, you have a Terrorblade in this game. The Huskar doesn't need to be the highest source of damage. He just needs to go in, cause some chaos, and be the high ground siege mechanism. And the rest of his lineup can clean up when Aster commits to that fight. This Ember is just still so far behind in this game. It's brutal. This lane matchup is just brutal.
Look at Boboka's inventory. Does that remind you of anything?
Despair?
No, Necronomicon.
He's still trying to build it a couple patches later.
I saw that. I did a double take. I was like, what? He's got a belt of strength on him.
He wants some more little friends. Gonna join the party.
As many as he can get. So the Aegis is gonna pass away here. So they managed to get 2 tier 2s.
Pass away? It's like, sounds like someone died.
Yeah, well, we're gonna vary it up a little bit. I mean, it does represent a life.
Stolen life.
Stolen in Roshan's heart. Coming up the high ground, Aster. See who's gonna get caught here. Gets down to low ground. They do manage to get vision of him for the Primal Roar, so that's the pick off. They actually get Boboka as well, so Gaimin Gladiators, a smoke back that gets the 2 supports. I'm sure they would have loved a core kill, but still not too bad.
And they had Terrorblade illusions on all 3 lanes. 1 illusion bottom, 1 illusion mid, pushed both in, and then Duraccio sends another illusion cutting this top wave. So really good map control coming out for Gaimin while they make this move. These small things add a lot of effective net worth when you make these clumped up smokes. Because if you miss, or even if you hit a random support, and you allow Aster to get the other lanes out, these moves are often not very good. But when you have so many summons with the Beast, you have the Hawk Vision, you have the Terrorblade Illusions.
The Dragon Cannon.
If you do it properly, it adds up. And yeah, 8K gold lead.
What do you think about XXS's double boot build?
We've seen a lot of the Primals doing it. I think Whisper does it every game.
Yeah, he does.
Just feels good, I guess. Like the extra boot move speed. And then you just build it into the bongo so you can join the band. Why not? There's a little bit of wasted gold, though.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's a decent amount of wasted gold. I always look at it and I feel like unless there is a debilitating slow on the enemy team, I'm not sure if it's worth it. But, you know, they got Crystal Maiden. There's also like the Primal Roar secondary slow.
What if we added recipes to combine boots into mega boots? There's an idea. Here's a better idea.
What would you call it?
Going higher. I don't know. I'd call it the Big Shoe.
All right, that's a pretty good name. I was thinking boots of everything, but the Big Shoe is so much more intimidating.
I mean, can you imagine your offlaners call it, guys, I almost have Big Shoe. It's time to go. That's a free range tracks. No contest here. And that's without the second Aegis.
The Big Shoe actually adds a cosmetic. It's like the Mario boot. You know what I'm talking about?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Old school Mario, where he has he actually has the boot upgrade, where he's just inside a giant green boot.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Twitch chat knows what I'm talking about.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do. Because
Nobody,
they're all boomers, just like me.
nobody likes you, Captain.
My mom likes me.
She just lies.
Oh no. She told me. She always told me that I was her favorite child.
Aren't you
I'm
the
an only child.
Should have taught you everything you needed to know about life right in that moment. As Aster have learned everything they needed to know about Ember versus Huskar in this game.
That's not good.
It is punishing them very hard as they have yet to take a real 5-on-5. How are we going to see it? Has Quinn even had to use his BKB once this game? All right, he has. He used it twice. But it doesn't feel like he needed to.
Where are you going?
The split push continues, but
It's
split push
only
gets you so far.
28 minutes in.
Yeah?
It feels like 40.
Why?
I mean, probably just because not a whole lot's happening. Mostly because Gaimin Gladiators were winning and kept winning, and I don't see an end in sight for Aster, honestly. What is the end in sight for Aster? What are they hoping for?
Ultra late game here. The Lincoln Spears let them split push. You eventually get your Ember back online.
So you just got to stay alive for like 30 more minutes?
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
That sounds like a Herculean task, but
Radiant's courier has been killed.
I've seen worse. You're only down 10k. If you get a good high ground defense fight, get some little friends going, your Morphling chunks the guy who's hitting the tower. I can see some comeback potential here. It's not easy.
well, I don't think Gaimin Gladiators is going to go for that high ground until they get second Roshan, so we're going to have probably a little bit of time here.
I mean, you just need the Scotty on Morphling, and then I think you probably rather contest the Roche than the high ground defense, because honestly, their high ground defense is kind of trash.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's just going to be Beastmaster units sieging with an Aegis hero, and I don't think you can really wait for him in and take that fight. So the Roche contest might be better with a Clockwork player. You make it really weird. You hookshot somebody. Maybe you smoke flank around, jump supports with the Morphling.
Plus, like, their strength in a team fight is their mobility of their heroes and dancing around the Terrorblade, right? When you are constrained to defending your buildings, I feel like that's actually bad for Aster.
It's rough. The auras are just going to be way too good for gaming here. They have a full-on Guardian Greaves on Tofu building in towards that pipe. You, of course, have the Beastmaster auras and the Helm of the Overlord plus the drum. It's a lot to combat when the gaming just get to clump like that and hit a single target. Shard and Aegis will go to Quinn here. So he has that extra inner fire. Slow heal.
Well, they did not contest the Roshan, so that leaves...
High ground defense time, boys.
Well, I was going to say trying to rat. I think it might be a better idea to see if you can find some way to trade.
That's ideal. Yeah, I just don't know if you can do it.
Yeah.
And maybe gaming don't care. The only trade is really Monet threatening the base. But even if you're in that scenario, I think you can just trade, and I don't think you care if you're gaming.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to go back.
Gaimin Gladiators are probably going to do twice as fast.
I mean, this is a game-ending push. If you lose this fight, they're just going to throw on you. They have Ags on Quinn. He is mega farmed right now. Not to mention, Dyrachyo finished BKB, Manta. On top of Elven Tunic, he has Evasion on this Terrorblade. This is an absolutely terrifying fight. I don't really know who you try and burst here. Probably a Crystal Maiden if you can find her.
You know, it's
Some
never a
morale
good.
points.
It's never a good sign when your analyst is like, I don't know what they do for this fight, because you have all the information of being an observer and sitting here and thinking about it. What, like Aster, I'm not. It is so much harder when you're in this situation to come up with a solution. I think
you hook shot somebody and you double aggressive force staff them in.
Okay.
And then
an idea.
That's the start.
Okay. They're going to go for it. The Terrorblade. Oh, no, we got off the BKB. That's troublesome. Now they have to be able to reset. XWY does still have his double damage, so he can kind of poke at them. The Sunder's going to be used on Celery in the back lines. Taranchu back up to full health.
You got to chase him here. You got BKBs out, but you got to get something off this double damage Ember.
Yeah, no BKB. Meta is going to expire soon, so maybe time to smoke up and just see if you can take something.
I mean, they don't have primal BKB, but I feel like if you just let Gaimin reset here with this Aegis for another high ground siege when meta's back up, it's just going to be too brutal.
Well, let's see what Aster does. Do they play for the win or do they play to survive? Playing for the win would be going out and trying to actively take a fight against Gaimin Gladiators, see if you could maybe take away the Aegis or something. Playing to survive would just be trying to hold another high ground defense.
They're not even ratting that much either.
No,
I feel like
not.
they want to fight, but
I mean, they have
how do you get it? This is still into Aegis, though. That's the issue. And Quinn kind of knows if they go on him, the fight's probably good for his team. Gaimin don't really want to take a fight without meta, so there's a 50-second downtime here. But that said, I think Quinn is still going to be happy to take the... What is happening mid? Oh, you missed it. He was frozen in the dance animation.
Who, the Terrorblade?
The Huskar. You know when he leaps and the target he leaps on dies and he gets stuck midair?
Oh, yeah.
It's a good time. You should have been there.
Sad I missed it. Butterfly? I mean, that is the ultimate timing item pickup right there.
It's the
That
game ender.
says, I am ending the game right now.
And Quinn can bots to the push. So when he's looking for these freebies, it doesn't necessarily mean Gaimin are committed with everybody. Just pop the clock and run down a lane. Why not? You have meta back up. You have this butterfly. I don't think you need to wait for next.
Look at XWY. He's like, I got to push in this lane, but this illusion was standing there, and it takes him so long to deal with it.
And the thing is, he can just get blink roared off a Lincoln's break if he's not careful.
Yeah.
He can also just get arrowed. These pushes are terrifying, but it is coming to you regardless here as Gaimin want to go to game 2 with a dub. Aegis still up for 50 seconds. Cannot focus his Huskar too easily. Who are you going to choose instead?
Got him with the center. Oh, arrow. Quinn's to dunk on him. He immediately gets grabbed by the Primal Beast. They look to try and finish up that Aegis, and they do manage to do so, but it cost them a lot. It cost them the BKB on XWY, their Tier 3 tower, and the Enchantress. There's still this big Terrorblade to worry about. That's just a full set of racks, and Gaimin Gladiators are going to keep it going.
This is your last fight. You've got to kill this Huskar somehow. I pray they have a better idea than I do because I don't see how to win this fight.
It just looks like they're going to give up Megas. Hookshot goes in now. Pichu goes for the pushback there. Lincoln's blocking what it can. Quinn does get drug in pretty deep here, but he might be able to get the Morphling kill still as he's stunned up for so long thanks to that arrow hit. Needs to be able to wait for him away, but he couldn't. Get dunked on a second time, and GG. I mean, this game, for the last... I mean, the laning phase was pretty damn bad because of the fact that it was the Emperor versus Huskar, but especially like 10, 15 minutes onwards, it was just Gaimin Gladiators dominating. Again, it was like an 80-20 by like minute 15.
That's just the matchup, man. I just don't think you can be giving last pick Huskar in a decentish Huskar game with the Ember matchup.
Yeah.
When you need Ember to be dealing damage to deal with Terrorblade, you need Ember to be dealing with some of the wave pressure because Ench Clock are not lane shovers. They're good in the skirmishes, but they're not dealing with the lanes that are going in from Terrorblade illusions, Crystal Maiden pumping up everybody's mana, Beastmaster summons pushing lanes, Tofu's just farming your jungle. Like, who actually clears the map and gives space for this Morphling to win those fights? That Monet played a pretty good game, just not enough time on the clock. And ultimately, Quinn Huskar says, I'm still pretty damn good. Why are you giving it to me?
Yeah, gotta watch out for it. Can't give away those free wins, especially in this situation. Then Aster is right on the cusp of heading down to that bottom 4. And this is not gonna help. Gaimin Gladiators take game number 1.
And they take it in a very, very dominant fashion, perhaps somewhat predetermined from the draft, but Huskars are not always guaranteed for success, no matter what the matchups are. This time, though, Quinn was in his element. Actually, the whole team was in their element. Mirana was on point. Well, that was the main two to me. It was the Mirana and the Huskar, I think.
Tofu?
Beastmaster 1 is lane.
Beastmaster 1 is Lin. Tofu?
Tofu had like a 90% arrow accuracy. Every time I looked at it, there's just an arrow hitting somebody. Beastmaster that you guys mentioned had a really great lane until he didn't. Then the Morph was level 7, he was level 5. That's just naturally what happens on that lane. But early on, he seriously exceeded our expectations in terms of how he played the first few levels. And Quinn is just too good, man. He's just too good. I really thought that Aster's side lanes would win hard enough for them to be able to carry the Ember out of the rough early game, but that just didn't happen. I think the Terrorblade and Crystal Maiden completely won their lane also. The Clock and the Primal Beast could not do enough, and at some point it just felt like Morphling versus the world. So, I mean, well played by Gladiators. There were very minimal mistakes made there.
Yeah, maybe the CM is like good enough to like lane stabilize as a 5, that they felt comfortable picking it, knowing that like whatever they're up against, like CM can mango, fight, whatever, win the lane, guarantee your carry wins, and then they got a little bit lucky maybe by getting that matchup advantage with the Ember gets picked. They picked the Huskar, so yeah, they executed really well. I mean, the net worth, we thought that maybe, Ember's behind, he can catch up a little bit, but yeah, when his levels aren't high, his damage is low, then he can't pressure the map, then it's like, it just becomes a cascading issue. And I remember looking at the net worth, and Quinn was at 3,300 net worth, and Ember had like 2,000 flat. That's a big difference for like the early game stage of the game.
Yeah, and the way the Ember Huskar matchup goes is like, so the first few levels are pretty okay for Ember. Like, you can lane until Huskar gets more levels in, and then usually you just go for boots, and then you kind of try to play behind the tower, drag the wave, drag it to a neutral camp. But he couldn't even get to the point where he could afford boots on XWI. So he just got completely bullied out. On the first few waves where he should be fine, he wasn't fine. He just got outplayed by Quinn also. And his team wasn't able to get him back into the game. Like, for his team to get him back into the game, the side lanes just had to go really well. And I mean, Monet always plays exceptionally on his Morphling, but I think XXS and Pichu underdelivered. Pichu was oftentimes in the dire jungle doing a little bit of scouting, which he did need to do, but that kind of ended up in him dying 10 times, right? So your Clock's dying 10 times, you need him to initiate. Your Primal Beast can't really go in because the Huskar explosion just pushes him away, and your Morphling is just trying to play a game entirely by itself. It looked really grim for Aster.
Yeah, good point about the inner fire, because that was one thing that I underestimated in the draft, because I was like, oh, surely the Clock and the Primal Beast are going to be able to get on Quinn and force him to potentially die, but every time he's just like pressing a level 1 skill, countered your level 4 skill, and then he just doesn't get to go in.
It's like a quick time event,
Yeah.
you know? Primal Beast is like charging after, it's like, and I just kept thinking he was going to get him. Like,
Yeah,
he's
me
going
too.
to this time. He's
I'll
not
get
going to hit it. And, push back. Oh, there goes my 400 damage.
And there was this one time where it looked like it was actually going to work out for them, right? Like, Clock got in with the hook shot, walked back for the cogs back, but what happens? Tofu got with the arrow, connecting on the Clock before he could use his cogs and push it back into a Primal Beast connection. I just feel like everything was played so well by GG. And I guess you can't underestimate the Quinn Huskar. It's as good as people say it is. I mean,
it's really good. Yeah, I mean, that is literally his cheese hero, right? Like, he doesn't play too much out of normal stuff, but like that's a mid hero that he really excels on when he plays it. But it's like that perfect level where he's very confident, but he doesn't do it often, so it doesn't also get banned. You're like, oh, he's just gonna play something standard. Boom, there it comes, and then it smashes like the whole enemy draft. It was really good. Yeah.
As you said, Effie, it did feel like Monet versus the world towards, I guess, the mid game, seeing as how the supporting staff wasn't able to do much, his other cores weren't able to do much. But there was a moment where we got the vintage Duraccio, why is he dying here kind of thing, and then it almost seemed briefly like Monet was back in the game, but
Neil, that one's not fair.
Why
Come
not?
on, the vintage dying. He was all right. He's in his jungle, which is normally not a typical place, but like I talked about in the pregame show, it's like him maximizing resources, right? And he did die,
Yeah.
But it took 3 heroes, and then his team backed them up. So you could argue he's like, okay, I'm going to play in a slightly dangerous area. I think I'm going to be able to get his thunder off. And he didn't. He was disappointed. We saw the clip. But then his teammates come in, and then they smashed.
You're
so
right.
it was okay in the end. It's because they're winning.
Yeah, I mean, he played a good game, right? He hit his timings. He won his lane. He got the Scotty just when he wanted to, around minute 21 with the Manta. And when his team was ready to group up and GG push, Terrorblade did the Terrorblade job. Morphling, on the other hand, won his lane, but his map was much more constricted, much more small. And yeah, he did get a few really cool pickoffs, especially the one mid with the Starfall and the nuke that he did. That was awesome. But yeah, there's only so much you can do, really. And this goes back to the point that we mentioned earlier when we were doing the player head-to-head, but it really does feel like Aster is just all eggs on the Monet basket, and maybe they haven't been enabling him well enough, or maybe they have to consider enabling XWY a little bit more, giving him a game and kind of lessening the burden that exists on Monet's shoulders.
Yeah, it just comes down to the pick, I feel like, in this game. I personally think XWI is really solid, but that game, he just didn't really have a chance. Yeah, sure, his first couple of minutes maybe were underperforming, and maybe you think he's not the best mid in the world, but yeah, he definitely needs to do more.
They did first phase Monet's hero for this one. They picked up Morphling early on, and so even though they're putting all the eggs in the Monet basket, they're still not necessarily fully enabling him for success.
But the one thing I would disagree with you on is that leading into TI this year, Morphling was like one of those carries that everybody's like, oh, this is the hero. And it was played a lot at the start of the group stage. Then it phased out when everybody was like, okay, why would we play Morphling when there's just better heroes, right? Morphling as a result, didn't get nerfed much in the few patches we've had. So now he's like still up there as a hero. And I think that's what we're seeing. It's like he was like an A-class carry going to TI, but he wasn't S tier. And now he's the S tier because the other S tiers got slammed down a little bit.
No, so Morphling got first phased because GG revealed their offlane in the first phase too. And that's often, if you see teams first phasing their carry, which has been a pattern throughout this tournament, it's when the offlane is revealed. So if you see this Beastmaster Mirana, you can go for this Morphling and just like 3-ban to protect it, which they did. You know, they took out the basic heroes you don't want to play against, like Drow. And it worked out, right? Because Morphling did win the lane versus Beast Mirana, got a few pickoffs, had a really great start, went top, got the tower. It's more so the issue is with the other 2 cores on his team not really playing up to par. So.
It's fine. Next game, XWY is going to get 10th pick, and he's going to show us what he can do. All right?
But 9th pick, he can't do it.
No.
10th pick.
No, 10th pick, got it. All right? Listen, he got Huskard, okay? So they're going to have a little talk. They're going to motivate him. They're all going to pat him on the back. It's okay, bud. It's all right. It's okay. We're not going to let this happen next game. Okay?
Yeah.
I'll smile. Yeah.
Oh,
There's that confidence I like to see.
Yeah.
The energy.
Yeah.
The energy.
Yeah.
Woo!
Neil, do you want one
guys.
too?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Okay, because I know
Yeah.
your co-host would give you one if you want it.
No, that's okay. All I want
I'm good.
is a game number 2 between Gaimin Gladiators and Team Aster after this.